Please stand for the flag salute. In the back camera here. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The New Jersey Open Public Meeting Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meeting of public bodies at which any business affecting their interest is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of this act, the Cedar Grove Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be advertised by having the date, time, and place thereof posted on bulletin boards in the district, published and or transmitted to the Verona Cedar Grove Times and the Star Ledger newspapers, tap into online news, filed with the township clerk, and posted on the district website. Could I have a roll call, please?
Here.
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 Here. Here. Good evening, everybody. All right, so we're going to move to public comment on agenda items only. Seeing that there's nobody here for that, I move to close that portion and move on to our committee reports. Wait a minute, we're going to go out of order a little bit. Let's go right into our presentations. But before that, we're going to start with our student representatives. Good evening. Ladies, why don't you introduce yourself first so that the community that are watching at home.
So hi everyone, my name's Gabriella Di Mattia.
And my name's Ava DiGaetano.
And we're the co-presidents for the Cedar Grove High School All-School Council for the upcoming school year. We have so many plans and ideas for the upcoming months, and we can't wait to see what we can accomplish this year. So far we've had multiple events at our school promoting school spirit. We had our fall pep rally on September 13th where we recognized our fall sports teams and all of their accomplishments so far for their seasons. Leading up to this pep rally, we had our very first spirit week of the year. So from Monday to Friday, leading up to the pep rally, CGHS students participated in dressing up to show off all their school spirit.
We were also successful in planning and holding a tailgate before the Friday night football game where kids were able to attend and were welcomed with Rita's ice cream, balloon animals, airbrush tattoos, and many games. And for the month of October, we plan on helping with the elementary school's trick or trunk. We are so happy with the events we've held so far and hope that this year we can keep up the school spirit and increase involvement within our school. Thank you.
Thank you, ladies, and welcome. Yes, we appreciate it. So, going forward, it'll always be the same thing. You are more than welcome to stay, but please don't feel obligated. I'm sure you have a lot of homework. Thank you so much.
You too.
Okay. So we're going to move on to our presentations tonight, and then we'll circle back for committee reports. So our first presentation tonight, we have the girls softball team, our coach, say. Thank you. Yep, perfect.
All right, I'm here to propose a spring training trip for softball 2025. This will be my 5th time attending as head coach, my 10th season here. So this is a trip that we usually do. We're used to it. It's very beneficial for our program. As you know, in March it's cold. We don't get a lot of games in. And even more importantly, the team bonding and the chemistry that builds just within the girls. I think it's really a fun trip. But in this packet, if you go through it, we plan to leave on the 20th of March. We'll stay 5 nights, return March 25th. I think March 20th is a half day, so we'll be missing about a total of 4 days of school. I'm very strict with students with their homework. We have study hall hours. Coach Eddie, who is on my staff, he's a Bloomfield teacher, so he kind of handles all that for me. So once we're done with games, we meet in a common area in the hotel. We do a study hall hour, get our homework done, and I kind of stress that to the girls that if that's not done, that reflects my program, the school. I haven't had any issues with that. So the team that I have now, they're really focused. We are striving to break a state record of 3 state championships in a row. It's never been done, so we're hoping to do that. We're really focused, and that's really it. I have 25 girls attending, and only 4 new girls on the team. So the rest we've done this trip, so they know what I'm about. I'm pretty strict, so they kind of don't do anything while we're there. We try to go out to dinner while, if we can, playing 10 games. Last year was pretty tough. We had to wake up every day at 5 a.m. and go play. So they were kind of exhausted. There's not much, they go by the pool, but it's really to go down there, play ball, do your homework, come back, team bonding, and all that good stuff. But if you really go through these packets, it's kind of what we would do. We don't have a schedule yet. We kind of get that in January, but it's an example of what our days would look like. Any questions?
I'll just add, I very much appreciate the coaches and the players' pledge for having you.
Yes.
You know, if you would, and that's a really nice tone.
Thank you.
Trip, and congratulations on all the success. And we're excited.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Good?
you.
All right,
You're
thanks,
good.
guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming out. Madam President, ma'am?
You may.
Thank you. Good evening, Cedar Grove community. This evening, I'm going to be presenting on our NJSLA results as well as our district goals for not only this upcoming year, but you'll see this evening, 2 of the 3 goals that we're proposing are actually multi-year goals as well. However, before we get to the goals, I thought it was first important to take a look at our overall student achievement over the last couple of years.
Excuse me, Peter. We're going to move so we can see.
Okay? Not a problem.
Move while you're down.
So for those who are here in the audience or maybe watching at home, this first slide is different than slides you would have seen in the past. However, I want to reassure everyone in the community that the analysis you're used to seeing at a grade level breakdown is included in a link at the end of this presentation. So everything I'm going to share with you this evening will be on our website as of the end of the day tomorrow, so you'll have full access to it. So let me first orient you all to this slide. If you're looking at percentages of student achievement over a 2-year period, the first 2 columns, if you're looking at the slide on your left, you'll first see the 23 year, and then 24 is the most recent academic year. And the CG obviously is standing for Cedar Grove. Now, at this time in the school year, the most available data we have to compare our performance to is just state-level data. After the new year, we do have another layer of access to get more specific data to do comparisons of our achievement to other districts. But at this time in the school year, all the data we have access to is state-level data. Now, the reason I think it's important to look at state-level data, it's from the perspective of we should, to be very candid, be outperforming the state at all levels, based on our demographics, based on our overall structure and community. We should always be significantly outperforming the state data. What I'm going to be presenting to you tonight, though, demonstrates that there are some areas where we are outperforming state-level achievement, but there are also other areas where we haven't, or we've been on par with the state. So that tells us very helpful information as educators about where do we focus our priorities and our planning and our new investments going into the next 2 or 3 school years. So it's helpful to use this data to do analysis at a high level, and then I will speak to the community about what we're going to be doing at the school and classroom level that gets even more specific to help our teachers support our students to achieve at the highest levels. This first slide, I'll come back to it now, is ELA achievement over the last 2 years. Let me explain the yellow boxes and why you see a vertical approach. By having them displayed that way, we're essentially providing the community with a cohort analysis at a very high level. So for example, grade 3, 79 and 23, well that grade 3 became grade 4. And so if you look down in a diagonal manner, you see 78. That's the achievement of those same cohort of students over a year's period. So you see some consistency there, 79, 78. What I get excited about, though, is if I allow my eyes to keep going across to the right, and you then see the comparison between CG versus state. So that's plus 34. That's the type of numbers we want to see more and more in those columns. We should be outpacing state level achievement, especially the farther we get from those pandemic years. So as you then go down in the grade 3, 4, all the way through 9, you can see that cohort analysis. However, before I go to the next slide, I'd like to bring your attention to the far right and the lower part of this slide. At a very high level, you'll notice the gap between state and us here in Cedar Grove starts to shrink at just a very general level. The numbers are not quite as high, to the point even where you have an area where the state outperformed us in 8th grade last year in ELA by 4 points, or 6 points, I'm sorry. We need to know that. We need to take a look at that and study that. And before this presentation is over this evening, I'm going to give you an example of how we're going to analyze that and study those numbers so that we can make the necessary improvements going forward. So this was ELA achievement over the last 2 years. I'm now going to pivot to math. Same general approach to how the data is being displayed. There are some differences as we get into 8th grade algebra and geometry that I'll speak to. But again, just want to orient you to, you see the cohort analysis starting at grade 3 again, 67, 74. That's what we want to see, some good things, right? You see another cohort analysis there from 5th grade to 6th, 59, 53. We prefer that be reversed, obviously, and grade 4, 72 to 62. Again, I'm going to ask you to take your eyes to the far right of the chart. You'll see the numbers are generally higher in the lower grades, and they're generally lower in the higher grades. That's just a very high-level takeaway of analysis. Let me talk about 8th grade and where we see algebra and geometry. So let me start with algebra. Because we do have students in 8th grade taking algebra, as well as students in 9th grade taking algebra, it's 2 different groups of students. And then we also have students in 8th grade not taking algebra. So that's why you see the breakdown the way it is. Now, the 68 and 91, let's start with the success, the good news. The 68 and the 91 number, those are our 8th graders who are taking algebra, achieving at a very high level over 2 years, 68 and 91. Now, the 8th grade math numbers are basically on par with state numbers across the state. And to my earlier comments this evening, we should be outperforming the state significantly. So that's something we need to take a look at. And then geometry is only given to 9th grade students, and you can see where we are compared to the state, slightly above the state, but not to the degree that we would all aspire to be. So, this analysis and some deeper analysis very much inform the creation of our district goals. Before I get to the goals, though, let me just show you one other thing related to science achievement. This also speaks to a need for new investments and new resources. The overall science achievement, while it's only tested in 3 grade levels, isn't strong. I'm just going to always try to be as direct and candid with our community as I can. There's some underperformance here as you compare those state numbers to the other 2 slides that I showed you. So there's really some need to address that, and I do speak to that in our district goals this evening as well. Before I get to the goals, one last slide. I thought it was important for the community to see something that all of our teachers are familiar with and will become even more familiar with during our first professional development day in early October. These are called evidence statements. And what they do is they give us a breakdown of each item on the assessment that our students took. And it tells us where we outperformed based on each question. So we can then get down in the weeds and say, okay, this question represents this standard, and we outperformed the state by 20 points. We know we're teaching this really well. However, where it falls either at or below that blue line, that's where we need to take a deeper analysis at what those questions are testing and what standards are testing, and then think about our curriculum development and what we're prioritizing in terms of instruction. So I'm excited to share with you, our school leaders are already starting to look at these reports. We have time set aside in our calendar and schedule to support our teachers as they do this analysis, and this really is what drives student achievement. The deeper we understand our standards and getting our teachers in a position to have the best resources, which I'm going to talk more about in just a moment. So, 3 district goals I'm going to present to you tonight. The first district goal is one of 2 multi-year district goals. The theme of this district goal is student growth and academic achievement. There are several commitments in this goal. The first relates to full implementation of an MTSS system. MTSS stands for Multi-Tiered Systems of Support. We need to be as aggressive as possible, especially in our early grades, with providing interventions for students who are potentially not achieving their full potential. And there are ways to do that through ongoing data analysis, benchmark assessments throughout the school year that we have on our calendar and we are implementing. We need to invest in new curricular resources. So math, clearly based on the data, needs to be a priority. And I'm proud to tell you, this board, our leadership team did a lot of work last spring into this summer to make sure when your students came back to school in September, they were met with brand new math curricular resources, grades K through algebra in our entire district. That was months in the making, preparing for September, and I just want to acknowledge and appreciate the board for their support in that, and acknowledge all of our teachers, all of our leaders who really embraced that challenge. And I just want to also say to the community, please understand, it's a multi-year kind of learning curve for learning and using new resources, but our teachers that I've come across have just been super appreciative and super strength-based in thinking about that. This past couple of weeks, the community should know, our job-embedded professional development provider has been in our classrooms, meeting with our teachers and teaching our students about new ways to learn math. So that math has been a clear priority. We also feel it's important that we focus on science more than we have in the past, based on some of that achievement data. One way that we plan to do that is to begin the process of launching a healthcare pathway at the high school. By doing that, that sets a higher bar at the top and allows us to plan backwards for that. And think about what our science instruction needs to look like in grades 4, 5, all the way through the middle school, so that we have students excited to enroll in that pathway. And then lastly, some other items I'll be following up on next month with you. We're going to continue to implement Linkit and Edulastic in the district. I mentioned the job-embedded professional development. And then, yes, I know, especially at the elementary school, our teachers, I'm still getting to know so many of them, but from the ones I've spoken to, I know there's an appetite for potential new ELA resources. So we are committing in this district goal to begin to investigate that this school year, so that next September, we hope to be able to make some of those investments in our classrooms as well. And then we also need to start thinking in a manner of fact about policy that's the most appropriate for our community, specific to artificial intelligence. And that's a committee that we'll want to launch in the coming months. And by the end of this school year, my goal is to make sure we have new policies specific to artificial intelligence to give our teachers and our educators appropriate guidance. I'm going to go to District Goal 2 now. The theme of District Goal 2 is communication and public relations. There's a lot of great things happening in our schools. And it's in everyone's best interest for our families to know what those are. And that's upon us as educators to be communicating that out into the community. And in today's world of social media, there are better resources that we can invest in to help us do that. One of those would be a new website, a mobile app, so our parents are getting notifications on their phone about activities happening in the school, and being more informed about the goings-on in our schools on a daily, if not weekly basis. And I think we can start to be more strategic about how we communicate happenings in the district through public relations that's very intentional. Whether it's having hashtag movements for getting people excited about coming back to school, or it's upcoming events, performances. I know we're going to have some exciting performances in our schools this year, and we should be building enthusiasm for those performances in our athletic events by having public relations strategies in place. So we feel like excellent communication is simply the standard for high-performing school districts. And so we want to be very transparent with the community about this will be a priority for us going forward. I do want to also call out, it's mentioned there, more details to come, but it isn't my intention, that our administration is hosting community forums. We haven't yet defined what that looks like, and I plan to do that when I come back in a month and present an action plan to the community. Goal number 3, this is another multi-year goal which focuses on finance, facilities, and security. These are investments that we need to be making in our schools every day and every school year. We need to be strategic in how we design our budget going forward in terms of making sure our resources are allocated to where the needs are the most. And we do have an overcrowding situation at our end schools. And we need to begin to do the rigorous planning it's going to take to address that overcrowding. Explore all options, and then begin to engage the community with great transparency about a plan. And if that plan should include a referendum, then really go out and educate our community about what's in that referendum and why we think it's so critical to the success of our schools for generations to come. And so you'll hear much more about that in my action plan a month from now. And then whether it's those community forums, whether it's other forums where we're engaging the community about a potential referendum, we're going to be looking to have that conversation and share as much information as we possibly can, as quickly as we can with the full community. I believe I have touched on the main parts of district goal number 3. Tomorrow, when this presentation is posted on our website, this is a link you can go to if you want to do a deeper dive on the NJSLA data based on grade level. And then in closing, I always like to just reflect when talking about NJSLA data. At the end of the day, the most important data is sitting at your dining room table with you every night. And the needs of your child, you know best as a parent. And the best thing any parent in our community can do is to maintain an open, honest dialogue with your classroom teacher. The data you give us is the data that matters the most and helps us inform their overall growth. And it's only really through a partnership with all of you in the community that we can make sure all of our students are performing at the highest levels possible. So with that, I conclude my presentation, and Madam President, I'll throw it back to you.
Thank you.
Sure. Okay.
Thank you, Dr. T. Appreciate that, and I encourage the community to go on the website tomorrow and go to that link and do a deeper dive into our scores. All right, before we move on, does anybody have any comments or anything regarding the?
Thank Dr. T for an excellent
Yeah.
presentation.
Very informative. No. It's the end. Okay. All right. All right, I'm going to piggyback. I'm going to do my report, and then we'll go into committees, just because it makes sense. So as Dr. T spoke tonight about the district goals, the board's been working on their goals, and our goals obviously will align with the district's goals. So I'm just going to read them out tonight, and then they'll be posted on the website tomorrow, at some point tomorrow or in the coming days. So we have 3 goals as well. Our first goal is student growth and academic performance. The goal specifically says to support and promote student growth and increase student performance levels on standardized assessments by ensuring the implementation of high-quality educational experiences and programs. Our second goal refers to fiscally responsible budget decisions and referendum planning. Ensure fiscal responsibility and transparency in budget planning, working towards establishing financial stability while executing a referendum to address facility needs. And then our third one will be communication, to strengthen community relationships through clear, consistent, and accessible communication. So you can see that our board goals align directly with the district goals. So and look forward to continuing to work on them together. And the only other thing I wanted to say is just wanted to thank everybody, the board, of course, for their ongoing work. We put in a lot of hours outside of sitting at these meetings, and I appreciate everybody's time and efforts. I want to thank all the faculty, the staff, our families, and our students for a wonderful school opening. The feedback that I'm hearing in the community from the parents as well as from the faculty and staff and administration has been very positive. I think we had a really smooth transition opening, and we really do appreciate the efforts you put in, Dr. T, in such a short notice. So
Thank you, and if I could just echo that sentiment as well, to all of our staff for such a smooth opening and all the joy. There was a lot of joy in our classrooms those first few weeks, and we aim to maintain that. Thank you.
okay, so now we're going to move into, we do have some committee reports tonight. I attended several of them, but I'm going to let my friends report tonight. So we're going to start with, we'll go right in order. Curriculum and instruction.
Okay.
Mr. Palick?
Thank you, Ms. Dora. September 10th, Dr. Maney, myself, Ms. Dora, and also Jessica Pignatello, the Director of Special Services, met with us. And a very, very profound meeting, one that enlightened us a great deal about the direction of the district in regard to some very important topics. Several of the topics covered involved some of the settlements and court cases that we're involved in, as well as the status of our out-of-district placements and where we will be in regards to those situations. And it was really a very informative meeting that helped put a lot of things in our perspective so as we move forward. And Ms. Pignatello does an outstanding job, and we want to continue to provide our support in regards to that. Also, she had indicated that they are changing their software platform into real-time. The real-time platform is one that's going to help them become more efficient with their data, store data, and also retrieve data. And it's a system whereby people will be trained on it. But it was very interesting to see and note where they will be going with that and the asset it will provide to our teams. We also talked a little bit about, had an advanced preview of Dr. T's presentation this evening. And we talked about the SLA data. We also talked about the district goals, and as he really well articulated this evening to the public. So in regards to the Education Curriculum Committee, that was it for that day. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We also had a facilities meeting, but I attended with Mrs. Keegan and myself. We can tag team.
Yeah. We started to explore options for the referendum and building needs, things that are going on, we discussed where the referendum options had been presented before and where we want to go from there. So there's a lot of hard work being done by Dr. T. He's consulted with the administration in all of the buildings to find out where specific needs are for programming to help our students in terms of, developing our science programs. And there's been a lot of hard work, and our architect has been incredibly inspired. He's been drafting a lot of new options, so we're excited to see where this work is going to take us.
Yes, it's moving. I just want to add that it is moving. I know it's kind of seems like it's been a little bit on the slower side, but it is moving, and in the very near future, we will be prepared to share much more detail with the community and move on to the next stage. So,
I also want to stress that the referendum planning committee that happened a couple years ago, a lot of this information has built upon that. Things have been addressed that were previously presented as needs, such as the boilers and the HVAC systems, parking lots. So those things have come out, and it leaves room for just building further and making sure that we're really getting to what the students need now and long-term.
Yep. All right, thank you, Mrs. Keegan. We did have an FSA meeting.
Yeah, it's a North End FSA, met last Wednesday evening on the 18th. Outstanding group of parents from the North End school setting, and they are really well attended there. The meetings are usually in the area of 20, 25 people. They have it on Zoom as well. They're very, very involved in the school district. This was their opening meeting of the year, which was excellent for them. A new slate of officers have taken over, and we often discuss, and they have questions for us. A lot of it does, as you might imagine, the questions do revolve around where we go with facilities and referendums. But yes, an excellent meeting with an excellent team.
Yeah, and we will use that platform moving forward to disseminate a lot of this information, not only at our board meetings here, but I know Dr. T talked about public forums and things like that, but we would also be using the FSA meetings and APT and all the other acronyms and all the buildings as an opportunity to disseminate the information as it becomes available. So I encourage the community to attend those meetings. They're very valuable. All right, we also had a personnel meeting that Mr. Pollack and I attended.
In the area of personnel, most of the items in personnel will be addressed as normal business items through the agenda this evening. There is one point of clarification. If you go to the
Yes.
tuition reimbursement component, which our staff will be receiving the reimbursement for the college courses they are taking, there will be different amounts of money. There is a pool of money, and when the pool of money becomes towards the end and is exhausted, the second course that an individual would take is then prorated against the balance of funds that is left. So therefore, if you see different amounts of money, please don't be confused with that when you see that on the agenda. Another piece is that there will be a resolution presented this evening for the approval of our health insurance broker. And with the help of Dr. T and our interim BAs, they were able to negotiate a $5,000 reduction in their premium, and any little bit helps in that regard, but having a broker is relatively important to moving forward with keeping the costs of insurance down and so forth. And then there was just one other item that is more of a personnel issue item, but will not be on the agenda as a resolution. Dr. T had indicated to Ms. Dora and I that Ms. Pignatello, as if she doesn't have enough, she's really truly a fine administrator, will be doing a global supervision of our guidance department. And she will get it moving in the right direction, helping with in coordination with the high school principal, obviously, but they will be moving our guidance program forward with their goals, their objectives, and having specific outcomes that they will be looking for as well. And we thank Ms. Pignatello for taking on those responsibilities as well. Thank you, Ms. Dora.
Thank you, Mr. Pollack.
My week is complete.
Yes, we had a busy week. We spent a lot of time together. All right, so let's move some business here. Under the business administrator's report, can I have a motion for G1 through G18, please?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
David Ren,
Yes.
Lamar Zulo,
Yes.
Paul Allen,
Yes.
Dan Stevens,
Yes.
and John Moore.
Yes. We're on page 10. Under the superintendent's report, general administration, can I have a motion for H1 through H5 with an addition on 3D that will be contingent upon the approval of the coaches at a future board meeting?
So moved. Second.
Any discussion?
Just, I think I typically just want to add, specific to the HIPs, these two have been included, and there are currently, as of today, no open HIV investigations.
I just realized I skipped your superintendent report
Oh,
in the beginning.
Oh,
I
okay.
didn't know if you wanted to add anything.
No, I tried it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
David Byrne,
Yes.
Jim Monsuno,
Yes.
Paul Pilot,
Yes.
Dan Stevens,
Yes.
Dawn Dorr.
Yes. Under Human Resources, can I have a motion for I-1 through I-12?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call, please.
David Byrne,
Yes.
Jim Monsuno,
Yes, abstaining from
AP.
AP, sorry. I-8P, abstaining.
Paul Pilot,
Yes.
Dan Stevens,
Yes, abstain from I-8P.
and Dawn Dorr.
Yes, abstain from I-AP. Just for clarification for the community, I-AP is School Boards Conference that Mr. Marzullo, Ms. Keegan, and myself will be and Dr. T will also be attending, which is why we abstained. Moving on. We're on page 22. We're all together here. Under Special Services, motion for J1 and J2, please.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
David Byrne,
Yes.
Jim Monsuno,
Yes.
Paul Pilot,
Yes.
Dan Stevens,
Yes.
Dawn Dorr.
Yes. At this point, we open the meeting to public comment. I didn't grab the sign up, but seems that nobody is requesting to speak tonight. I move to close that portion of the meeting. Announcement of future meetings. Our next meeting will be on October 29th. It will be at Memorial Middle School. 7:30 is regular meeting. Closed session will be at 6:30. The meeting after that will be November 26th, and that will be at the high school auditorium. At this point, I'll move to adjourn the meeting. All in favor?
Excuse me,
Aye.
I'm sorry?
There, I don't believe you read superintendent, but you did the special services.
I did that.
J1 to J4?
J1 and J2. Page 22.
Okay. Okay, that was mine. I had listed as.
Nope, no problem. We're good?
Yes, we're good.
All right. All in favor to adjourn?
Aye.
All right, meeting adjourned. Have a good evening,
Thank you.
everybody. Thank you.